aileron spar is glued into position. Now, on the plans it says to cut the cap strips and put them in and put this in and put that in. I built the spar first, slid it in, marked all the positions where the ribs are, cut those out, and then slid the whole spar in, dry fit it, make sure it fits good, and then go ahead and glue it into position. And what I've got here, it's 11 inches from the trailing edge to the leading edge of that aileron. So I've made this distance, made a little block there that fits, and it just fits snug all the way along there, so I know that the distance from the leading edge of the aileron to the rear main spar is exactly the same. So that aileron spar is exactly where it's supposed to be all the way along. So that's glued into position right where it should be. And that is the aileron spar. You've got to measure up from this edge to the edge here is 3/4 of an inch, so we measure that out so you know exactly where it goes, and then put that sucker in there. All right, that's it for today. Happy Canada Day for all those Canadians out there. And I got the top layer of geodetic in place. That is done. I've got the geodetic on the bottom of the aileron in place. And what I've done here, this is just a little block. If you notice, this doesn't attach, so I didn't want the aileron spar to move, so I put this block in place to hold that aileron spar while I glue in the geodetics there. So that's just holding it because it's a little bit wobbly. I wanted to make sure it's in the right position. So that's done on that side. Aileron geodetic on the bottom part is done. Geodetic all the way across is done. On the front, I've got the geodetic on the front in front of the main spar done, on the nose, I guess you'd call it, is done. And it's done over here as well. A couple things that I wanted to get at that I keep forgetting to mention. It was mentioned about a rib. Any rib, what I've got here, this is the inboard rib for the first rib on the inboard side, and I added, you can see there, a little shim, you can see it there, under there when I glued those on. And that's what I did. If I see any little space in there, just put a little rib or a little shim into that rib just so that they fit tight in there. I'm just cutting up these little things are some of the hardest things to cut and sand up. I'll glue those into place for, I've got one here that's kind of in place. Just right in there. Doesn't do a heck of a lot. I don't know what they have them there for, but they're just little spacers, I guess, to put in there to make that beveled down. So I got those cut and sanded so that they actually fit in there. I'll glue those up today after I've let that glue because it's blocking it from going in there. So we'll let that dry. What else do we have to do on there? Once we get that done, I've got a question. I was going to put a landing light on, possibly in one of the bays here. When I look on Aircraft Spruce, there's 14 volt and 24 or 28 volt systems. Why is Aircraft, I'm a car guy, so car battery's 12 volts. Why is Aircraft 14 volts? And I was just thinking of putting an LED right in there, and so when you have that, you cut out an opening on your nose, whatever you call it, and put a light in there, and then get some sort of Lexane or something to cover that. Can I just get a 12 volt LED to fit in there, or do I need to go with this 14 volt system? I'm planning on having an aircraft or a car engine anyway, so I just wasn't sure what the deal with the 14 volt for airplanes is. So if anyone has an answer for that, it'd be much appreciated. And we'll get, the next step is to get the little nose spacers on there, and I've got all those have been cut out already the first time we did that first batch. So they'll just sit in there like that. And then we put the 1/32 nose covering plywood on there to complete the leading edge of that wing. I might do some hardware work today because while this is drying, I'm going to go and get some metal and start doing some of the work on the hardware. I'll fill you in a while. I don't know how well you can see it, but my little tool holders from the 3D printer. So those worked out just fine. Top geodetic is done. I'm just putting on the wing tip. Again, that's my Hoerner wing tip. Did a couple things different this time. I extended the front false spars all the way out so that they can get glued, bonded right to the wingtip spar. Put a little blocking in there to strengthen it this way. The little piece of webbing, I built another extended piece that came out to there. Same on the back, I did a little blocking in there of ply that comes right out. Get that glued all the way along. We'll let that set up. Then we'll turn it over, and I believe the next step is to do the washout and put the bottom lattice work on. Did I mention that I also I cut the aileron and the flap off. So that's done as well. All right.